Salute Knicks Nation. The streets are buzzing. The New York Knicks finish the regular season 51-31. Let's talk about it, ladies and gentlemen, as the Knicks pull out the win to finish the season today against the Brooklyn Nets, winning 113-105. Landry Shamet remains hot with 29 points. Precious Achiuwa had a solid, productive game as Cam Payne also filled it up, and the starters got a rest. All eyes on the major prize. Let's talk about it, guys. The Knicks Detroit Pistons face off in round one of the 25 NBA playoffs. I'm going to give you my key matchups. Let's talk about the X factors and the wash up to the regular season finale. The streets are buzzing. It's money time. Great to be with you. Thanks for tuning in. Smash that like button. Knicks family, we here. 51 wins, right? So be it. 51 wins, 31 losses. Clinched the third seed. Last game already, we know. This one was about resting the starters today. Some guys got some feel-good vibes going off the bench with Landry Shamet, man. We're going to talk about him because he remains hot. But obviously, the major story is what awaits and what lies ahead for our ball club. The playoff seeding all but confirmed, barring the play-ins. We're going to talk about that as well. The draft lottery odds, obviously, now have been out. The playoff schedule, the play-ins are going to take place early next week, mid next week, and obviously round one will commence next weekend. We don't know the official dates yet, but we have some news on the Detroit ticket sales arena. They're trying to be the gatekeepers and try to keep Knicks fans out of Little Caesars Arena. We're going to talk about that and much more. Johnny's in the building. Oliver Elliott and Knicks Nation. 51 wins it is, guys. Just fell short of the Vegas over-under. It's one of the reasons I don't go on the over-unders due to injury things that you can't predict. But look, I think the Knicks did the heavy lifting. They got to the position they needed to be in. Third seed. You take the matchup that comes with that. The 6th seed. This year it happens to be the Detroit Pistons. Last year in the 7 seed was the Philadelphia 76ers that were dealing with some injuries throughout the year. This one's a fully healthy Detroit Pistons, barring Jaden Ivey. Obviously, that's been out for most of their season. And Marcus Sasser returned today as well. I'm going to go through the box score from Detroit's game today. But the big story is the New York Knicks healthy as well, barring Ariel Hukporti and his contributions this postseason. But we're really not banking on Ariel to be a major factor. Obviously today, though, Mitchell Robinson sat, as well as Cat, Brunson, Hart, OG Anunoby sat. Miles McBride got major minutes. Cameron Payne, Shamet, 40 minutes, filled it up, as well as Landry Shamet, man, is ranking 4th in the NBA in 3-point percentage since March 25th. Right, reports Christian Winfield, man, of the Daily News. So Landry Shamet's play today continues the hot streak, 4th in the NBA from threes since March 25. It's what he does, right? Really pleasing to see Landry continue to shoot the rock, man, the hell out of the rock. And I do think that he's going to be in the playoff rotation. We're going to talk about that a lot tonight. And obviously the Knicks bench is going to be, badly needing production from Landry. Deuce McBride, obviously working his way back. He's had some interruptions throughout the late part of the season. We're definitely going to need Deuce to be efficient as well. But Landry can guard, Deuce can guard, but the 3-point play is going to be key for these guys. Tendrell says Landry baskets. Elliott says salute. We had some ups and downs this season, but we got here. We got to the finish line, fam. And as Deuce McBride says post-game here, courtesy of SNY, it's 0-0 now, fam. Let the games begin. It's 0-0, and I'm happy. I'm happy the way the Knicks have put themselves in position after the regular season. It had bumps and roller coasters along the way. Injuries, Jalen Brunson missing a month, 15 games was significant. We rode that storm out. And yes, it wasn't great, it wasn't perfect, but the New York Knicks finished in the third seed with home court. And hey, we assembled this roster to get past Boston and Cleveland. We're going to have to face Boston in the second round if we advance, right? You weren't really going to be able to duck that smoke in the second round, right? Unless we finished, top seed, unless we finished second and those teams fell further down. But they had great regular seasons. I tip my cap to Boston and Cleveland. They are the pace setters in the East, and the Knicks are just going to have to do it with grit and determination now. We are the hunters still. Last year we were the hunted. And last year we were the hunters. We are the hunted right now. And Detroit coming in, they are the hunters because they have house money. They'll play with no pressure. And the New York Knicks, man, have got it all to do in the first two games to take care of home court. I'm confident. I think the New York Knicks should win the series in 6, possibly less if they can take care of the first two games. But I'm predicting 6 or 7, but I'll stick with 6 for now. I think that Detroit are good for winning 2 games. The officials are going to be a big play in this one, physicality-wise. The games in Detroit, it's going to be crazy because the crowd is going to be a major factor. Detroit haven't won a playoff game since 2008, which is insane, and the crowd is going to be a factor in Detroit. But the experience, the New York Knicks have the starting 5 experience with Jalen Brunson, led by him. Mitchell Robinson's been in the playoffs. Cat, Western Conference Finals. Mikal Bridges been to the NBA Finals as well. But we've got to talk about these X factors and how the teams will match up. As you see down below, I think JB and Cade is going to be the major key matchup, right? On both sides, how do they look to exploit JB on the defensive side, and how can Jalen Brunson teach and school Cade Cunningham from the school of hard knocks with experience, savviness, been there, done that? All of those things are going to play a part. And look, Cade's star is on the rise, no doubt about it. He'll have his moments in this series. But the key matchup with that one is JB, right? Taking him to the school of hard knocks. Experience is the greatest teacher, ladies and gentlemen. My X factor, officially, for the series is Mikal Bridges, right? If Mikal Bridges has himself a good series, I think the Knicks win. He's the swing factor. Mitchell Robinson definitely could be another X factor as well. I want to hear yours, guys. Let us know. To the chat in the building. Georgie, what's good? LB, what's good? David, what's good? Great to see you guys. Bless up. I think a positive end to the week. We finished with a win. We're going to talk about the guys that got major minutes today, but I'm more focused on the playoff matchups right now. And next week's going to be fun, man. We'll have all week to preview the major matchup. Stephen A, I've just seen on ESPN, his pick predicted the Knicks. Reluctantly, he says, as he feels like it's going to be a physical battle. And obviously, we have the dude on the panel, Udonis Haslem, right? The Heat, the former Heat man, predict the Pistons, right? And obviously they're trying to throw some shade our way, and he's talking some smack in that one. But I think the New York Knicks will have pressure on them. Detroit Pistons won't have pressure, and so the Knicks will have to do well to deal with that pressure. And I think the best way they could deal with that is by winning the first 2 games, right? I don't want to sit here talking about a split in the first 2 games. Then it's series on. Could go 6, could go 7. The Knicks have to win the first 2 games and start confidently. They'll have a week to prepare. My thoughts on the regular season record, Detroit winning 2. I think Detroit winning 2, the Knicks winning 1. Or Detroit winning 3. Maybe the Detroit won 3, the Knicks won 1. Either way, Pistons won the season series, right? But I'm not putting a whole lot of major stock in that one. I do believe it's a level playing field right now. I do think that form is going to count as well. Late season form. Detroit's playing good basketball right now, but the New York Knicks obviously have to refocus. Because it was a bit of a bumpy finish to the season. JB only getting back with 5 games remaining. I think he's working his way back into rhythm. How he performs in the first 2 games is definitely going to be key. In that these first 2 games. Georgie says, "Hey CT, I noticed something about Landry. He lost Dante's shooting. We lost Dante's shooting and D, but the way Landry's play and his defense, we really didn't lose anything. What do you think?" I think that there is a bit of a gap between the two, but I definitely hear what you're saying about Landry, the way he's playing right now. And I'm going to bring up the box score from today, and we admire Landry's game. He'll get the game ball for today. 9 of 17, 7 of 13, shooting 4th in the NBA from 3 since March 25. That is something. That is something huge to build on. And a plus 12, 29 points, full of confidence. And he's our best player off the bench right now. Right, he's playing with more confidence than Deuce. Deuce missed some time. I know Deuce is probably dealing with some of that injury that sort of kept him out a few games, and I do put something in that because these guys aren't going to fully let on in terms of how they're feeling. But yeah, Landry feels healthy now. The shoulder injury did derail his season, and it took a while. Shoulder shoulder dislocation with surgery. That can hinder your shooting form. And I do think that we've done well to get Landry in a rhythm. I think the bench playing at a faster speed does suit Landry because he does like to get up and down. And right now he's the player on our team that finds the way to get the threes up with the most ease. Deuce is obviously undersized, and he can't really get the shot up over the defender all the time unless it's in transition or it's open. But Landry finds a way to get that 3 up. He's got a really quick release. Also, like you said. And yeah, he's given us a little bit of something that we've been missing without Dante as well. So, look, is the front office vindicated for not going out and getting TJ Warren? Right now, Landry would be getting those minutes right now. Obviously, depth is always helpful. But 7 of 13, man, my goodness, Landry Shamet was an absolute flamethrower tonight, right? And let's pull up some highlights from Landry's performance, man. As Cam Payne also finished with 21. Obviously, he got to run the show in this one. Major minutes from Cam, 33 minutes tonight. He distributed 7 assists. I do notice when Cam starts, he does get the offense going better than versus when he comes off the bench. We had an exclamation point from Deuce McBride. That was a great finish as well. Deuce went 6 of 14, 3 of 9, 33% from downtown. He got 8 assists as well. Did Deuce? He finished plus 10 as well, so that was key. And I'll bring up the key stats in this one, as this one was a game of runs. The Knicks started strong, and then in the second and third quarter, Brooklyn took a 10-point lead, and then the Knicks didn't look back. They took over the lead, and again ran the show for the rest of the game. So that is the up and down of the game today. Salute buzzer beater in the building. Give us your takes on the 51 season Knicks. How are you feeling? How confident are you? My confidence level going into the Detroit series now is probably at a 6.5 to 7. Not great, not awful. I'm not completely down like some people seem to be right now. Obviously, the week ahead is going to be key for practice, for film. And I'm kind of so glad that the regular season is over now. It's put up or shut up right now. Its legacy's on the line. Not ideal preparation because of JB missing time, only 5 games back, 6 games back. Guys resting some of these final few games, losing 3 in a row. But how meaningful were those games? Time will tell. Time will tell. Also, major takeaway from today, we hear from Tom Thibodeau, is that Mitchell Robinson is fully healthy right now. And I was talking on that about Ian Begley, about Mitchell Robinson. We'll hear from Ian in a minute. But Mitchell Robinson right now is on no minutes restriction, guys. So he is going to be free and healthy to play as many minutes as Tom Thibodeau decides right now. And I don't know if this is going to be the starting lineup, but my preferred starting lineup or major minutes is going to be with Mitch together with Karl Anthony Towns. I know a lot of us have been waiting to see that a lot more now. Has Tibbs been saving that to avoid some scouting being done on the New York Knicks? Beef Stew, Jalen Duren. There's some debate going on. If Mitch plays heavy minutes with Cat, what happens if foul trouble happens? Who's going to back them up? You got Precious. PJ Tucker's been seeing some minutes recently. Huck Porty isn't ready yet. So Tibbs is going to have to be smart about how he allocates the Mitch and the Cat lineups together. But I would sign up for at least 25 minutes together. I think it gives the Knicks a different look, an advantage. I think the battle of the paint is going to be really key as well. Because if Detroit have some off shooting nights with Tobias Harris, with Timmy Hardaway, Malik Beasley, the Knicks need to be there to rebound. No second chance points up in this one, fam. It's going to be a hostile MSG for the first 2 games. Flizzy Flex is in the building. Good to see you guys. D Grant's in the house. Flizzy says Knicks in 6. Sorry, Knicks in 5. Knicks in 5. So fully confident, locked in is Flizzy, like many of us. Man. D Grant says, yeah, but Shamet and Payne disappear against very good teams, so I do not trust those 2 guys. Very good teams, I would agree, against Boston and against Cleveland. Shamet's had his struggles. But would I put Detroit in the category of very good? Not quite. Not quite. I think they're a solid team. They're a good team. But I do think that Landry Shamet played well against Detroit. So I'm confident that he can keep that stroke going, man. 4th in the NBA in 3-point shooting. And shooters shoot, Don't matter who you play. If you're in rhythm, we need to get him the rock. And hopefully Cam Payne, finds him, because it looks like Cam is still going to be in the rotation. I'll talk about that in a second in terms of what the Tibbs playoff rotation I think is going to be. But some news coming out of Detroit, right? Guys racing to the ticket office to find some challenges, fam. Fans purchasing Knicks Pistons games in Detroit are receiving the following messages to better serve local fans. I think in the Michigan area, fans outside of that greater area are going to get blocked, man. The tickets will be refunded and they won't be able to successfully purchase if you're outside of the Michigan and certain parts of Ohio, Indiana, and Ontario, Canada. So Knicks fans are going to have to get creative, man, to snap up those tickets. I think they will. They'll find a way, man. Where there's a will, there's a way for Knicks Nation to get into that building. But I'm not worried. I mean, Knicks have been road warriors since Brunson's been in town. And look, we had success in Philadelphia last season. We closed them out. We closed the series out in Philadelphia. So once again, I think experience is going to be key, right? Alan Hahn, our guy Bill Pito, on experience with PJ Tucker, right? Hahn says he had a conversation with PJ and he said, PJ, you just got here. Why are you the one to be the voice in the huddle? And he said, because no one else is. I had to do it in Milwaukee with the championship team, and somebody had to be that guy. I relish that role. So the voice, the calmness, the steadiness, hopefully PJ Tucker can wear off on this team. There's going to be some challenges, man. There's going to be some tempers flaring, and there's going to be some challenging moments for this squad, right? As Detroit will get more confidence, I think. As the series gets longer, I think Detroit will get more confident, and the Knicks need to establish their dominance, right? And I look no further to the key matchup, Jalen Brunson. Who could forget his historic rise last season? 42 points a game, 9 assists, 50% from the field. The only player in NBA playoff history to record these numbers over a 5-game span, right? Putting his name alongside MJ, the GOAT, right? Playoff 11 JB returns next week. So no excuses. I'm not making no excuses. The Knicks need to win this series, right? All of the things that we need are in our favor. And I think the experience, and we have the runs on the board, the points. I do think that the Knicks finishing in third, right? They need to come out there and act like it. Wolf Perry says VPN. That is what I was thinking, fam. As Buzzer Beater also asked, how is the NBA allowing this? VPN could be, but what I'm hearing is that they're going to be looking at the address on the credit card, fam. Now you could obviously pay a dude. You could pay somebody with a credit card from a different address. That could be the workaround. AP says, is that legal? How does the NBA allow that? Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm thinking the same thing, right? Surely you can't, there's got to be some consumer laws where you can't prevent a paying customer from purchasing a ticket. You could be purchasing as a gift, but obviously we know what's the real deal. Knicks fans are going to be looking to snap these things up, but there's workarounds, man. Like I said, you could pay a dude via Venmo, somebody living in Ontario, Canada, with a credit card. They could purchase it on your behalf. What's going to be interesting is if they try something at the arena, which I don't think they can. But what happens if you rock up with Knicks gear and they try to be something crazy about it? But you know what, man? It wouldn't even matter because the Knicks just need to take care of MSG. Whatever happens at Little Caesars or whatever they want to call it, it's going to be a hostile environment. The Knicks need to produce, but we need to shut the gate. We need to shut the gate early, right? PJ's feeling confident about his squad. PJ Tucker says, I think that's the biggest trait with this team is that everybody being together, locked in together. And he was talking about the resiliency of the Knicks. So, look, I don't think the Knicks have been as resilient as I would like to see this season. There's been some horrible losses. There's been some head losses. It starts and ends with the coach, in my opinion. And look, we talk about X factors in terms of players, guys. I think the biggest X factor could be Tom Thibodeau. He might not even get to the players yet because he's putting these players in positions. He's got the power to adjust these lineups the way we want to see it. Who he's going to play. Is he going to overplay certain guys if their heads ain't right? If Cat's not locked in and he's being, careless with the basketball or he's in foul trouble, how is he going to play it, man? How's he going to play it, fam? Tendrell says, I don't think the NBA has any say over it. It'd be crazy if they don't. But yeah, in terms of legalities, I find it difficult to see. Yeah, you could go through third-party ticket holders and all of that. So we'll find a way, fam. We'll find a way. But yet Landry Shamet, he found his rhythm in Detroit last game as well. So he looks to be fully healthy. And look, he could be a big X factor as well. I think him, McCall, Mitchell Robinson on the Knicks as players. And obviously I think the key matchup, I'm not looking any past Cade and JB. Because Cade's got the size. He's going to try to put JB in that pick and roll every time. Is JB switch? It didn't work out well Last game, they killed us on the switch. I think JB is just going to have to man up and guard Cade and make Cade, try to be as physical as possible. Try to wrestle with him and try to make it difficult as much as possible. The more work we put on Cade, I think the more he's going to wear down. Because I want someone else to beat us. If the Pistons get a win, it has to come from a Beasley, has to come from a Tobias, Tim Hardaway, B. Stu. I'm not letting Cade beat us in this one. You want the ball out of his hands, definitely. And I think the Knicks will have their best chance in this one. But it's going to be a roller coaster, man. As we see today, it was up, and down. But the Knicks fringe rotation and mob squad pulled out the win. The Knicks forced 18 turnovers on the Brooklyn Nets. They shot 38% today. We lost the points in the paint though, and we lost the rebounding as well. So we obviously didn't have as much size with Precious and PJ playing major minutes. But we moved the rock better with 27 dimes versus the Brooklyn Nets 21. As the Knicks held on 113-105, got their final win of the season, right? Yeah, our starters didn't play today, but it is key that guys like Shamet Payne got major minutes, Deuce McBride, because those guys are going to be big factors in the series, right? Mikal Bridges kept his Iron Man streak going. 6 seconds into the ball game, fouled and went to the bench to keep his streak alive. But Precious played 32. Bridges, Miles played 29. Campaign 33. Shamet with 40 minutes. DeLon Wright was solid. Kevin McCullough was a standout as well with 8 rebounds, 2 assists, plus 15 for K-Mac. And so the Knicks got their win, and we have a week. We have a week to prepare on this one, man. There's going to be plenty of mind games going on in this one. Paula's in the building. Salute. D. Grant says Tibbs should put OG on Cunningham. Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of that. Yeah, we definitely should. And I also want to see Bridges. I want to see Bridges take on that challenge at times because I don't want to exhaust OG either. We need OG going on the offensive end as well. I think it's going to be a team collective, We're going to throw multiple bodies at Cade. I would like us to trap a little bit, blitz, keep him second guessing, try to get him out of a rhythm. Anything that's going to throw them off. We can't give them the same look every single time because as the series goes on, they're going to get more comfortable with that one, fam. Deuce says, Johnny says the Deuce phenomenon measures a Knicks fan base in different cities. It certainly does, man. The love is real for Deuce. AP says, I'm going to keep it real. CT, I was not happy with this season. I expect us to be tied with the Celtics. I didn't expect the Cavaliers to just leapfrog right over us. Yeah, no doubt. A lot of fans were disappointed with how the regular season played out. I think expectations, though, were a lot higher this season in relation to last season's expectations. Last season, we were a little bit more of the underdog, the Rocky story with, iHeart, with Randall, with Devo. We were the real NBA's Rocky story, I feel. This season, expectations hit when we made major moves. Anytime you make major moves, expectations come. And if you want to be a championship team, you have to learn to deal with those expectations. That's how we had to deal with that in the 90s. Patrick Ewing had the weight of the weight of the world on his shoulders, man, and the weight of the city on his shoulders every single time. We were expected to win the playoff series and advance. And now this team is going to have to find a way to do the same thing. And we're going to look at the leaders. Jalen Brunson, Hart is a leader of this squad. Mitch is an elder statesman now, the longest tenured Knick. He's fully healthy. he can cement a legacy now, right? There's going to be different heroes and villains made coming out of this playoff series, fam. And just like that 90s team that we loved, they're going to have to show that grit, fam, because we are the hunted, right? Last season we were the hunters, but this time it's going to be Detroit. That's going to be the hunters, fam. And I think psychologically it is a major situation to deal with expectations. Some players just can't deal with expectations. Look at Ben Simmons. Look at Joel Embiid. Look at other players around the league that have failed with grand expectations on them. Some players just can't deal with that. That's why a lot of players see a psychologist in terms of dealing with that and how to perform on the bigger stage. But I'm confident still because we have a dude that is a stone cold killer. He's done produced in the regular season, postseason after postseason after postseason, right? In hostile environments with poor officiating. He's dealt with being fouled and hacked and whacked, disrespect from the media, disrespect from his own fan base, being overlooked in Dallas when Luka went down and he clawed them into the Western Conference Finals. Last season, he put his name up there with Michael Jordan with a historic playoff run. And we're going to look to him to do it all again, man. It's a selfless role to be a leader. The pressure's on him. If the Knicks don't get past this series, everyone will say fire the coach, and Tibbs probably will get fired if the Knicks don't win and beat Detroit. But if the Knicks don't beat Detroit, there'll probably be a fair share of criticism going towards Jalen Brunson. I know there's already talk over who's the best player in the series, right? To me, it's a non-starter because JB has the points on the board. Cade's coming, and he deserves to be in the most improved race, and he might even win the most improved. But last I checked, Jalen Brunson finished top 5 MVP last season. No debate. He finished top 5 MVP in voting last season. So how can we have a conversation over a guy who's just in the MIP debate for this season versus a guy who was top 5 MVP last season, right? How do the two compare? How do you compare an MIP to a legit MVP? Right? It's a silly debate right now. Yeah, I know people are in a rush to give Cade his flowers, but last I checked, he ain't played a single playoff game. Fam, how do you be the best player in a series if you ain't never played a playoff game? It's preposterous. LB So Wavy says anytime when the masses say we're going to lose a series, we end up winning that series. Absolutely, man. Amen. There's a lot of expectations on us, and I feel like people just want to cope. It's a form of it's a coping mechanism, fam, so that you don't feel too let down if the Knicks don't get it. But you have to learn to deal with those expectations, man. How many modern day fans now that stress and panic? How many of them would have dealt with that stress in the 90s, man? Going up against the likes of Reggie Miller, going up against the likes of Michael Jordan, going up against the likes of the Charlotte Hornets as well, the ATL Hawks. There were so many tough matchups going in the 90s, fam. Shez V says, salute, CT. At least we're going out on a high note. Losing to the Nets would have been disastrous. Yeah, I feel like just the vibes, getting a win, some of the key bench players playing a lot of minutes, good for their confidence as well. Definitely. We know the Nets weren't playing anybody major either. But yeah, I like to see our guys get in rhythm today. Salute Michael in the building. D. Grant says the 90s team just couldn't get over that hump against Chicago for the most part. except that 1 year without MJ. Yeah, you know, that one player that's obviously regarded as the GOAT, you know, he can carry his team, will his team over the top. And we might need a heroic series from Brunson. It might be that close where push comes to shove. Detroit might be the better collective team over this series, but we might just end up with the better player. I'm kind of hoping it doesn't play out that way, because I hope that we're the better team in regards to this series, and we don't need a heroic series from Jalen Brunson. But if we do, if we need that, you know, I'll take it. I'll take it, man. You know, winning ain't pretty sometimes. But yeah, you know, credit to Detroit, man. They've had a hell of a regular season. They tripled their win total. I mean, think about if the roles were reversed, and us Knicks fans that obviously we know very well to miss out on the playoffs for so many years. Imagine if 1 year you have like, I don't know, what did they have, 17 wins, and then the following season you triple that win total. I mean, the city would be crazy. The city would be buzzing, kind of like we did when in the COVID season, when we finished fourth and faced ATL with the Derrick Rose season. That was major vibes, man. There was people partying out on the streets. The Bing Bong story was made. Yeah, psychologically, we don't have no Ben Simmons, Shezvi. You know, Brunson ain't a guy where he's going to go get shook. You know, when the bright lights get switched on, man, when those floodlights get switched on, man, who's going to be look like a deer in the headlights, and who's going to look like they belong, fam? Detroit haven't been here before. The Knicks have, and yeah, I feel like we'll see a really, really locked in Knicks. I feel like the first two games might have their moments, might be a little shaky, but I feel like the Knicks will prevail in the first two games, and then we'll see what Detroit have in game three, fam. But like I said, giving Detroit respect, if they can win one of the first two on the road, then they'll have my attention. You know, they'll definitely, you know, be well and truly in the series, you know. I think it's going to be tough. Cardiac Knicks, salute to you. Appreciate you for rocking out with us and everyone in the building, replay squad, Knicks Nation. Cardiac says, thanks for all your hard work with the post games this season. Regular season is over. The long battle has ended. Now it's time for the war. Absolutely, man. I love those words, Cardiac. You know, Knicks Nation, we stick together. This is our moment, man. I never take for granted finishing in the postseason. Like I said before, how many seasons did we miss out? You know, we had those small moments with Melo, the 54-win season, and then we had the Randall We Here season. This is the third year running where we're finished basically with a fourth seed or higher. And this is consistency now. But the problem is we have to take that next step. You know, we have to take that next step. We have to learn to deal with the pressures, the adversity, and we are the upper seed. We're the bigger brother, man, in the playground right now. But we're going to go up against a young, feisty whippersnapper. AP says, by the time the Knicks figured out Chicago, it was too late. We didn't play them after 96. Yeah, the Heat suspensions, man, in 97 killed us. So yeah, we've got some seeding out west. We'll take a look at that. AP says Julius got to go up against Luka and LeBron. But I hope Thibodeau understands, says AP. LB So Wavy says, so what is Detroit going to do when we show up with a bunch of our own team gear? They're just going to turn us around? No, they can't. They can't, fam. You know, I know what they're doing. They're just trying to obviously prevent mass ticket purchasing because, you know, Detroit, New York, you know, people will travel. You know, people will travel in droves, obviously, and it ain't far. So this is the full playoff picture, fam. I like that LA-Minnesota series, man. Ant-Man and Julius and Dante. I'm going to be rocking with them in that series, right? We've got the Clippers and the Nuggets who are going through some turmoil. We'll have the Oklahoma City Thunder face off against the winner out of Dallas, or the Kings and the Rockets will face the Warriors or the Grizz in that one. The winner out of that one. The Bulls Heat for the third year consecutively face off. That is going to be crazy. I think that the Bulls will probably get that one. And I think the Heat will be packing, man. Pat Riley might have to sail off into the sunset, man. In his own words, am I washed? Pat Riley, the Heat, are just missing that secret sauce without Jimmy. I think the Magic should beat the Hawks and claim that 7th spot to face Boston. I like that series. I think that'll be a cool series for the Magic and the young team out there to prove a point. And then the New York Knicks, Detroit, obviously Pacers, Bucks as well. They're sick of each other. They've faced each other a lot recently. And the Pacers, Bucks have some history between the two, going back to when the game ball, when Giannis and Halliburton were fighting over the game ball in that one. Paulus says, don't remind me about some of those playoff heartaches. You know, definitely we have those battle scars, you know, but it's who we are. And I think we have to understand our history, I think, as well. I don't like to dwell on it, obviously, as well, because ultimately we didn't win that championship. We are 2-time champions, courtesy of the 70s Knicks. Salute to them and our storied franchise. But obviously, yeah, we have some great moments in the 90s, you know, but I like what the team stood for, you know, and I feel like that's something that today's team has to look at, and I hope they do throughout the week. I hope Tibbs shows them maybe some of the footage. We've got Patrick Ewing in the building, you know, we've got John Starks in the building. Bless them and pick their brain. We've got Clyde in the building. Maybe even Oakley might, you know, get his way back into the building. We have Latrell, we have LJ, we have Mello. Get those guys in, man. Have an off day where, you know, the team can chill. You know, obviously after some practice and looking at the film, you know, get with these guys and talk about these playoff battles. Talk about, you know, the adversity as well. Because yeah, this team has to really grow up. You know. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. I feel like they have to evolve, you know. They are a team that can coast. Mentally, they've been a little fragile, right? I know some people say soft. You know, you could use that word if you like. You know, I can understand. I think mentally fragile a little bit. They have to get stronger, obviously, physically as well. And yeah, the Pistons have that toughness as well about them. So I think we have to tap in to that 90s mentality, that 90s team. Sometimes we weren't the most talented team in those series, but we were never going to lose a fight. We were never going to lose a battle. When we stepped off the floor, we definitely let the other team know, man, that they got beaten up, you know? And so we have to really, you know, definitely grow up, I feel. Buzzer Beater says, "Will CT, will Tibbs get fired if he does not get out of the first round?" Absolutely. He definitely will. I feel like he would. I said that earlier in the show tonight. I'll say it again. You know, expectations are usually the killer, you know, if you underachieve. Now, if there was no expectations, he might have another lifeline. But I feel like he's kind of run out of lifelines, you know. And it's not just all on Tibbs. It's just the way the current day is, you know. Look at Mike Malone, who's been a championship coach. You know, he just got let go, man, a week ago. Look at Taylor Jenkins, man. He just got let go. You know. To that question, though, if there's one thing that could save Tibbs if we did lose the first round, is that maybe the connection between the playing group, the front office, the family ties, the vibes. Maybe they look at things, they look in the mirror and they say, okay, we're going to keep the coach, but we're going to make some wholesale changes with the roster, Buzzer, fam, and chat. That could be the only way Tibbs survives a first round exit. I would still put it at 80-20. He gets let go if the Knicks don't win the first round, but I expect the Knicks will win the first round. But given the fact that Thibodeau is basically, like a godfather for Jalen Brunson, been around the family since he was born, and the players probably still want to wear that, take ownership of the loss. They might be like, look, this is on us. Let's see what plays out. Big Dave, what's good? Says, I would trust, honestly, Dante over Bridges. If we had him going into these playoffs, Dante he plays with that edge that Bridges does not have. Yeah, I hear you. I feel like Mikal is a major X factor for me. If Mikal has a good series, we win. And, you could say that about a lot of players, but yeah, he is the swing factor with us, man. He hasn't shown up in these major games, and it's on everybody to get him going. I'm not going to put all the blame on Tibbs. I think Brunson needs to do a better job of distributing the ball. Too much tunnel vision, too much looking for his shot. If anything taught us when JB was out is that these guys can play. They can play well. Bridges can be a borderline all-star. We've seen him put up the numbers. We've seen him get hot from downtown. I don't believe that talent just disappears. I do believe, like what you're saying, I think Bridges is a bit timid. He's a bit timid mentally. You kind of have to push him along and say, look, we're going to ride you, man. We need you to, step up, step up. And I get it. You've been a role player on the Phoenix Suns, and then you were the go-to guy on a pathetic Brooklyn Nets team. You can lose a lot of confidence. If you're losing a lot and you're the go-to guy on Brooklyn, I think it kind of shook his confidence a bit. But I don't think he's really regained that confidence with the Knicks. I'm not on the trade Mikal Bridges train just yet. To address that topic, there's going to be a lot of discourse over paying Mikal, trading him. Right? I feel like he still has a big use on this squad. But I feel like we're not getting the best out of him. Plain and simple. We're not getting what we paid for, but because we're not putting him in the best situations. We're having him guard the point of attack every single possession, which I think is a tough assignment. And I think Tibbs has to do a better job. Leon has to do a better job in the offseason of getting another wing so that we can spread the load. Pause. We could, tag team. We could get OG at the point of attack sometimes. We could get, I don't know, McCullough, Dardier, someone else we pick up, and Mikal. But this season, Mikal's been the guy that's had to guard basically everybody. And I think that has definitely worn him down a bit. But in terms of offensively, we haven't nowhere near maximized his skill set. That's on Thibodeau's offense. That's on Jalen Brunson, the point guard, as well. Jose says, yeah, the Knicks should have a little retreat, sit the current team down, talk to the 90s Knicks. It wouldn't hurt. 100%. I made that suggestion. I feel like to take that next step in the evolution of the team, you have to look at, the past. You have to look at, okay, what do we stand for, man? When people talk about the Knicks and the playoffs, we have history. We're a storied franchise. I know these modern day fans want to clown the Knicks at times, but the Knicks will never lose that their success in the playoffs. Going back in the 90s, 70s, 80s. Richard is on the move Bridges train as well in this offseason. There will be options, it's definitely a major question over what to do with Mikal Bridges, because, the discount situation, there's talk that JB took the contract he took, so that the Knicks could pay Mikal and keep this train going. It's going to be key. It's going to be key to see what happens. But I feel like we need to support him right now. He's an asset. I still look at Mikal Bridges as an asset on this team, right? You don't want to tank all the value of your asset by just, not getting him going, Yeah, I agree that his defense has been very poor at times, underwhelming. But I don't believe that Mikal Bridges offensively is the player that just fallen off a cliff. I feel like we've seen it when JB was out. He can run the offense, and he can get going. I just simply think he can't be the main wing to guard the best players' wing all the time. We need more wings. We need more wings. Maybe Bridges becomes more of the focal point offensively, and we get some more defensive specialists in the building. Because what is definitely clear this season is that Mikal ain't no defensive specialist, and we don't want to rely on OG Anunoby for 82 games either. We were kind of lucky that OG was durable this season. Is that going to be the case next season? Is that going to be the case the season after that? I don't know, man. But looking at tonight, I do like I am encouraged by Kevin McCullough, finished plus 15, a great two-way player. Maybe we keep a veteran around like DeLon Wright. I think if we did lose a campaign, I wouldn't mind if we kept DeLon Wright around. Kolek is going to have to step up in the offseason and get in that weight room. He's going to have to get stronger and be able to guard on a full-time basis. Same with Pacome Dardier. Those guys have had their moments. Their rookie season hasn't really been a success, in my opinion. I think Tibbs could have used them a lot more. I wouldn't say it's a failure either. I would think that Dardier is really solid rep in the G League. Tyler Kolek won the MVP of the G League showcase. I think he should have a big off season and be ready for major spotlight next season. Right now, we'll see how the story ends, but Landry Shamet could be a candidate to stick around. Let's say he starts the season next season fully healthy with that shoulder ready to go. It could be a good pickup. AP says, CT, what's your play-in prediction? I am going to go, let's bring this baby up. I appreciate the questions as well. Keep them rolling. Also, give us your predictions. I think it'll be Knicks in 6 for Detroit. Knicks in 6. But we have to win the first 2 games. In terms of play-ins, I think the Bulls will defeat the Heat. And I do think the Magic will defeat the Hawks. And we'll see a Celtics Magic first round. And we'll see the the Bulls finish in 8. And they'll face the Cleveland Cavaliers, fam. Obviously, the Bulls will defeat the Hawks, right? I think the Bulls will advance and lock up the 8th spot. I think they'll defeat the Heat and they'll defeat the Hawks. And then I think the Magic will get 7 and face the Celtics. And out west, I think, man, the Mavericks Kings series could be tight. I'm going to predict the Mavs. Anthony Davis seems to be healthier now. I'm going to go Mavs over the Kings, and then they'll have to face the loser out of the Dubs and Grizz. So I think that the Golden State Warriors will advance to get the 7 spot, and then I do think that the Grizzlies will probably defeat the Mavericks, fam. So I think out west, I think the Grizzlies and the Dubs will get the 2 spots. Stanley, what's good? Says, I totally agree with Brunson needing to get the ball more to get Bridges going. Also, OG needs to drive hard to the basket. Pistons vulnerable to turnovers. So we need to see them press them and make Cade work on the offensive end. Knicks need to figure out how to guard the pick and roll better as well. Pistons will force switches by Brunson and Cat. 100%, and I'm kind of feeling like, does Tibbs wait to further into the series to maybe throw something different? Or does he do it from the get-go? What I mean by that is, does he throw a surprise? And does he put DeLon Wright? Does DeLon Wright get spot minutes? Does PJ Tucker get some minutes? Or does he wait to see how the first two games plays out? Because I agree, we do have to give Pistons a different look. They are going to spam the Brunson Cat pick and roll, and we do have to do better than what we did, man. The other night, the other day was disastrous, man. Having Brunson try to switch back onto the other guy. Just stick to Cade. Just stick to Cade early. Be physical as possible. The moment our defense has to scramble and collapse, things get worse. You make a problem even worse, in my opinion. Brunson's had his moments guarding on a 1v1, and he's been successful sometimes. We have to trust him. Now, if he's getting abused, then you make an adjustment. But Brunson can draw the charge, and try to be as physical as possible. Make him finished with tough shots, tough looks as well. Also, that could have a rub-on effect, because I want Mikal and I want OG fresh. Right? I don't want them guarding every single screen and roll, because that's just going to wear them down. Right? This is a team collective, guys. Guys are going to have to step up. Josh Hart is going to have to guard. Right? If Hart's not a factor offensively, he's going to have to guard, man. Hey, he's going to have to give this team something. I don't think Tibbs would do this, but this is my preferred lineup, guys. I would get Hart back to the bench, right, from the get-go. Mitchell Robinson's healthy. What are we waiting for? Tibbs announced it today, post-game. There's nothing holding him back. It's just been decisions from the coach to, I think, just to ease him out there. The questions remain: who could back these guys up if these guys play major minutes together? You're going to have to get creative. Maybe play small off the bench. Get up and down. Precious at the 5. I think Precious's position off the bench should be at the 5, because him at the 4. The floor spacing is generally awful as well. And what it means, if Precious is playing the 5 off the bench, it means we can get more guards, more shooting. We can expand the rotation with our guys off the bench, and that could open the door for a potential, potential look for a DeLon Wright. It could open the door for potential more minutes for Shamet. It could open the door for a Kolek. So yeah, I don't like Precious playing the 4. We need elite floor spacing. If you can get looks with Deuce, Payne, Shamet, and Tucker or Wright, that you got much better spacing, much better floor spacing with that one. Yeah, we haven't really got any new updates about Huck Porty yet. So I don't think he's going to be a factor in this first round, but let's see. Stanley says Kolek got to get stronger and hit his 3-point shots. Yeah. AP says McCullough is very promising. He looked good today. A younger version of Hart, says Stanley as well. Yep. Mitch needs to hit the glass and play more with Cat. 100% with you, Jose. I'm ready for the world champion, the New York Liberty, says AP. I don't want to talk about the negative too much, because I'm confident we'll win the series. But yeah, Thibodeau, his seat won't get any hotter, if we lose the series, there's no two ways about it, right? He's definitely under mismanaging a talented roster, Now Mitch is fully healthy. does he go back to what he knows and loves, which is the rebounding, dominating the paint? Look, are the Pistons a great 3-point shooting team? If you could, close out and contest well, the pressure's going to be on them. Can they shoot well in the playoffs, especially on the road, is going to be key. Ian Begley talking about Mitchell Robinson in this one, talking about how Mitch is, the X factor. He's got no restrictions on him coming in. It's just how Tibbs sees fit right now. And most of y'all agree that he has to play more together with Cat. Real King salute says Knicks in 6. Absolutely. I'm respecting Detroit. I'm not going to say 4 or 5. Right. I think we know better than that. But if the Knicks can take care of the first 2 games, then they might be able to end the series early. But you can't look past the first 2 games, in my opinion, right? We haven't even won the season series against Detroit, right? So who are we to talk about 5 or 4 or 5? Come out there and prove that you can beat Detroit twice on your home floor. You can't ask for a better scenario. You can't ask for a better scenario. There ain't going to be no Pistons fans in the arena. It's going to be full of orange and blue. David Huckporty's not completely ruled out. He's basically he's doing some individual workouts on the court. He's putting up shots. He's not taking full contact yet. He's not practicing fully with the team. But I think he's making progress. He just isn't there yet. The first round series I think has just come too soon. But I wouldn't rule him out for a second round, maybe late first round. We'll see how that plays out, fam. But like I said, I think with guys in our guard and wing department, I think we need to expand the rotation there. I think Cam, Delon, Shamet, Deuce. You could go small ball with Precious or PJ, right? Even if PJ gave us 12 to 15 minutes, right? I mean, he's a guy that has proven that he can rebound and hit that corner J. Today he hit another corner 3. Let me pull this one up. Yep. Corner 3. You have to respect that. Right. And what does that mean? If PJ is the 5, that means Isaiah Stewart or Jalen Duren is going to have to go out to areas where they don't feel comfortable. And look at Cam. He could get downhill. He could get his foot in the paint and the defense collapse like that. That was a good switch. Shamet over in the other corner. We have to get optimal lineups. And if Tibbs doesn't do that, man, then he deserves to go. Because, we can't be playing lineups of Mitch and Precious together or Hart and Precious on the same floor, man. They're not going to guard nobody. Detroit's just going to sell out on Brunson, or they're going to sell out on whoever's the go-to scorer. If we have a Precious and Mitch out there, So I feel like, definitely Tibbs is going to have to pull the right strings in this one. Anthony says, I wish Brunny would be more of a point guard in the first 3 to 4, that Bridges, OG, and Carl could do the scoring early. And then in the fourth quarter, he didn't take over and do his thing. I feel like the fourth quarter, the team goes into a funk, They definitely revert back to isolation ball. And I feel like that is a product of playing slow, fam. What happens is our team plays a lot faster in the first 3 quarters, We run and we get stops, we run. When the fourth quarter hits, the defense tightens up. The other team definitely, pulls their shorts up and they'll start to buckle down and play D. But we also walk the ball up the court too slow, and that's on Jalen Brunson. That's on the style of the play, That's what the coach likes. Take care of the ball. But we don't really get great shots, It's isolation. And we are missing more shot creation on this roster, That is probably the top two of items on our shopping list in the off season, in my opinion. We must get more shot creation. Just a guy that could get a bucket, 1v1. You know, Brunson can do it. Mikal hasn't been able to do it enough. He's struggled. Cat is not a shot creator. He's a play finisher. Off the bench, Shamet can get his three up, but I mean, he's a role player at best. He's done his role off the bench. Deuce can't really create a shot either. He's more of a spot up guy. Campaign can create a shot, but I mean, it's erratic at best. So, yeah, some people might feel like we need to get a better defender and get more winged defense. I understand. That's definitely my top two. But I could make a case where this team could go to another level if we just had another bona fide shot creator. Because then it's a handful for the defense. You got Brunson to take care of, and then you've got Cat who can play make, play finish. If you had one more shot creator, it might not even need to be somebody elite. It could be somebody in the latter stages of their career. It could be a DeMar DeRozan. It could be a guy like a veteran like a CP3. He could create shots for himself as well. It's funny to say that CP3 was one of 5 players to play, I think, all 82. CP3 played all 82 games this season. So, see, the problem is, Deuce just can't create a shot. Mikal isn't great at creating a shot. Josh Hart certainly can't create a shot. How many guys are we going to carry on the roster that kind of do the same thing or similar things to a degree? We have to mix it up. Now, Pacome Dardier, he projects to be a wing that can create a shot. Off the bounce, he's just streaky. He's just raw right now. But he could be a guy, in theory, to be a guy like that in the future. He's a pull-up threat. But obviously his handles is a little shaky. He's a turnover machine a little bit now as well. So yeah, I feel like we need to look at that in the off season. Speaking of, with the seedings close to confirmed, we basically have a greater perspective on our draft pick. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is a positive to come out of the regular season, right? So for most of the season, the Memphis Grizzlies were top 2, top 3, and our draft pick was around 55, 56, 54. But with the late slide for Memphis, our second round draft pick by way of Memphis is now coming in at 49. And it could fall even it could climb even higher if Memphis flame out of the play-in. Now, you might be thinking, man, CT, what are you talking about? 49, there's talent. There's going to be a lot of talent in this draft class. I do know a lot of these prospects. A lot of these guys were projected higher, but the fluctuation of the tournament and the combine to come, the workouts, things are going to change. The Knicks got McCullough with 56. They got Huck Porty with 58. And the Knicks are picking currently at 49. And I do know a lot of these guys are pretty decent prospects. So we could be adding another needs guy, hopefully. A guy that's a wing. Maybe another big man that could fortify our rim protection. Hey, either way, we don't have a lot of money to spend this offseason. So hitting on another draft pick is going to be key. Making sure that we get somebody in that could play a role when we're up against these aprons. It's going to be key. And obviously our first round pick is going to the Nets, like Cardiac says. It's going to fall to it's going to fall to 26 right now. So the Nets they've got 20. Actually, they've probably got one higher. Yep. Like Cardiac says, man, the Nets have got 4 first rounders, man. So they're going to be making moves in the not too far future, man. They got pick 8. The Brooklyn Nets have got pick 20. They've got pick 26 and pick 27. 8, 20, 26, and 27, man. If I was them, I would look at maybe packaging 26, 27, and 20 and getting up another lottery pick. So you got 8 and you got another lottery pick. But as far as the Mikal Bridges pick headed to Brooklyn, it's 26. So I ain't sweating, man. The only pick I'm going to sweat headed to Brooklyn is 2031, which is obviously 5-6 seasons out from now. So, we don't know how Brunson's going to look in his early 30s. We don't know, it'll probably be a different team. Bridges, OG, Hart, some of these guys, Cat might not be here. That's the only pick I'm really worried about. I ain't worried about, because the Knicks are going to be a top 3, top 4 seed over the next 3-4 seasons. But hey, it is what it is, fam. We're all a little bit down on Mikal right now, but I still see him as an asset. Right? It might sound crazy to some, but if you are doubtful, just take a look at that stretch where Brunson was out. We have to find a way to maximize these players. And I feel like a coaching change and a mindset change could be for the best of everybody right now. Also, it might just be a case of Mikal having his first season with the Knicks, a rough season. He knows what to expect now. He'll know what to expect coming into next season. He knows his teammates. Maybe the road will be less bumpy. Maybe there'll be a smoother transition next season from this one. Don't forget the trade and all of that, the adjustment to a new squad. But if you want to sell on Mikal, I won't. I won't question that. I won't question that either. Maybe you need to sell now. I don't feel like the stock is going to get any lower right now, though. I do think we can rehab some of his value. It's all going to depend on what kind of contract, as well. What kind of contract demands is he looking for, man? I'm not looking to pay Mikal 35 mil. If you can get him for like 25, 28 mil, I think that would be more of a realistic figure, I think, based on today's NBA. He has to know that he's had a down season, Paula says he is an asset, whether in a trade or staying on the team. Yeah, I feel like we can definitely get his value up, though, with play, I feel like, as well. We just have to get him going. And you have to understand now, he's not the player defensively he used to be. And so if we're going to continue to throw him into the point of attack every single time, I think that's just going to hurt us. We have to mix it up. We have to mix up our coverage, I feel, as well, whether we switch a lot more. We can't have Mikal fighting over every screen. Whether we blitz a little bit, trap, maybe a new coach comes in and he's willing to play some zone. I think we should switch it up, fam. We should be versatile right now. I think that's where Tibbs has failed as well. And look, I'm not in that locker room, but Mikal speaking out earlier, I know he's probably talking about, Tibbs needs to give his teammates more of a chance off the bench. But we don't know what he's really thinking. He might be like, man, I wish Tibbs would use me a different way. We just don't know. Deuce is talking a lot of sense right now. It's 0-0. We have to go into first round series with that mindset right now. Nothing's promised, nothing's given. And I feel like legacies will be made right now. The Knicks got to deal with being the favorites. I think the Knicks will still be the bookies' favorite. But the Pistons are playing with house money and they can be dangerous. The Knicks have to come out and act like the big bro on the scene and win the first 2 games of the series. Take that confidence out. Take any confidence, destroy the Detroit Pistons too. and we'll see how it plays out, fam. We've got a fun week ahead. We'll be live in another day or so, and then we'll have some previews coming up for the series. We'll obviously update you next show about the schedule. The playoff official schedule for Game 1 hasn't come out yet. I feel like they'll know for the play-ins, and the networks will get it. But mate, best believe it's going to be prime time. I feel like the Knicks Pistons, they'll prioritize this series because it's Cade. Yeah, Cade's already doing stuff with ESPN. It's crazy, and he's also the Pistons' first playoff run. For a minute, they haven't won a playoff game since 2008. But we ain't ducking, man. Let's get it. Be confident. This is what we do this for. If we have to win it in 7, so be it. But the Knicks should win this series, in my opinion. And if they don't, it'll be a failure. All the credit to Pistons if they win it. But it'll be a failure for the New York Knicks if they don't get past the first round. These players have pride, man. They're experienced. They're veterans. They've been there and done that. Damn. As well. So when you need somebody to step up, look no further than the old heads. And I'm sure these guys will have a great series, fam. I'm sure Jalen Brunson will have a great series. I'm sure Cat will have a few big moments and a few big games, maybe enough to dominate and help the Knicks. Like David says, the Pistons are our Clubber Lang to our Rocky. That's a great analysis, man. I like that. They've got a point to prove, man, and they're hungry. They're coming, right? But we might have to use some old man tactics with our experience. School the new kids on the block is the way I'm going to spin it, fam. Yeah, the Pistons are coming with energy and momentum, but you can still school the new kids on the block if you've been there and done it before as well. And it'll be a failure for our veterans as well if we don't get past this one. But obviously, the reason it's a 7-game series is talent usually prevails, right? The Knicks, the Pistons, they both have a lot of talent. Which is going to be the talent that prevails as well? Coaching could be a major factor as well. Tibbs out-coached JB in Cleveland. He's going to be looking for a get-back. He's going to be looking to get back with JB. In fact, he ended the Cleveland reign. He ended his Cleveland tenure. He's definitely going to be looking to get Tibbs fired. Now, imagine that storyline. Tibbs getting JB fired by punking the Cavs in 5. The Pistons and an emotional JB Bickerstaff could be trying to get Tibbs fired up in this one, man. So, hey, there's no shortage of storylines in this one, man. I'm excited. And I'll see you on the next one, everyone. Peace. Big up.